Hi guys, I decided to do a video and movie pickups video because I see them on the internet, on YouTube all the time, and I thought I'd give you my sort of take on it, and I'm going to try and give some information about how I go about getting these. Now, as a collector, I'm not really that much of a collector. I kind of dislike getting stuff that's going to sit on the shelf for, you know, God knows how long. I actually like to get films and games that I like to play and I like to watch. So without any hesitation, I'll get on with this video and I'll show you what I've got through the post this week. So the first thing that arrived was sort of this little collection plus one other item. These are Nintendo Famicom discs. So they go in the Nintendo Famicom disk system, which is a system that was only ever released in Japan. And I think a lot of the guys on the net have already seen, you know, Famicom disc. That's what it looks like, for those of you who haven't. It's kind of, if you were growing up back in the 80s and the 90s, you'll actually notice these as being very similar to 3.5-inch floppy disks. Which, you know, go in your standard IBM PCs just before, before the 5.25. They replaced the 5.25, the big floppy disk type things. So these Nintendo Famicom discs, they only work. You'll see there's this weird Nintendo thing at the bottom here. They will only work in the Nintendo Famicom disk system because it's got all of this in, this, when you put it into the drive, it sort of picks up on this little embossing type here. They don't hold a lot of data by today's standards. It's pretty laughable, to be perfectly honest with you. They store about 120, just under 128k kilobytes, which is, not even a quarter, an eighth of a megabyte essentially. An eighth of a meg is stored on this disk, and that's half on pretty much each side. So I think it's slightly less. I think it's about 112. Oops, I think it's about 112k actually that these disks store. Anyway, so at some point I might show you the drive, I might show the setup that I've got. But there you go. That's Famicom. That's Gyrus, which is a sort of 3D shoot 'em up sort of thing. Now this is the good tip here is that with these Famicom discs, they were only ever released in Japan. So I've got these delivered from Japan, and you'll see that you've got all the Japanese writing, etc. on there. It's quite clear to see that because Gyrus was quite big in the US, but it was going to be a game that they were going to release on the US and in Europe. They decided to stick with an English name for the game, so it made it easy to port it across to other territories. But you get a lot of these games that are completely just Japanese written across here, and you have no clue of what that game is, even what type of game it might be, because these Famicom discs, you can see, they actually don't include, that's the disc itself, and if you're buying them second hand, you tend to only get the shell and the little protective sleeve it comes in. I can show you the Zelda one, which has a full pack. That's probably the only one I've got that's complete, to be honest. It's a full pack with, it has the manual in it, and you can quite clearly see it's Zelda. Now what I do is, as soon as I get these Famicom discs, is you'll see there's a code, I don't know if you can see it, there's a code right there, KDS-GRS. You can go onto the Wikipedia Famicom disk system link, or game link, that shows you all the games that came out on the system, and you can just find that code and you can basically discover exactly what the title of the game is and put that in. Right, so that's Gyrus, which is a good shoot 'em up. What else have we got here? And you'll notice I've used a labeling machine, and I've labeled what these games are, and I'll also, what I forgot to do actually this time around is tend to put the genre. So Gyrus is a shoot 'em up. This one, which is Senki Psycho Caliber. The only thing I could find about Senki Psycho Caliber is that it was an RPG game of some description, and again you'll see there's the it's even written on there's actually an image on this. This one has an inlay in it. I'll pull that out. This one actually has the inlay still intact. The Gyrus one didn't. And you can see there, but you've still got the code where you can read off and find out what that game is. Okay, what else we got in here? We got Metroid, so I managed to get a copy of Metroid. Now I managed to get this copy at a lot less cost than what I've seen on a lot of the other Japanese eBay websites. What I did, now what you notice with this one, I hope it's Metroid if I check it out, because one of the problems with Famicom discs is they can actually be overwritten. It was commonplace when they were released in Japan. You could take them down to a machine and put on a fresh new game for a couple of yen, because these are writable discs. So some Famicom discs you get, the label might be telling you a complete lie as to what's actually on the disc, the only way to try it. But this label here is Metroid. And I did a Google image search to find out, because I sort of recognized it from looking at a lot of images online, and I just did a image search for Metroid Famicom disc, and found out that these characters here are actually for Metroid. Now you actually won't see a code. There's no code on the disc for this one. A lot of the Nintendo ones, the ones that Nintendo released themselves, won't have the codes printed on them, especially the earlier ones as well won't have those codes on them. So the best way of doing it is to do an image search. You might find it already on eBay, that image of Metroid. That's what I did. I found an image already of a seller who was selling it for, like, God knows how much. I think it was almost $50 to $100 basically. So that's Metroid. Well, I hope it's Metroid. So what else we got here is we've got an RPG called Deep Dungeon 2 by Dog Software. Yeah. So that's the Famicom disk systems. In that same pack from Japan, I also got Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. Now I've never had a Japanese GameCube game, and they come in these really small cases. Compared to what we get in Europe and the USA, we get the standard DVD sized boxes, because I think the reason was it was cheaper. Whereas in Japan, they went with these because they knew they were going to sell X number of copies of them. So Japanese GameCube game, you get the sleeve on the outside, and it's quite interesting to see on this particular one. Where is it? For sale and use only. I'm going to put that in frame. For sale and use only. Commercial use, unauthorized copy rental is prohibited. Selling second hand. Selling second hand is not allowed. So thanks, Nintendo. Anyway, so I believe this was probably part of a console bundle or something like that, and that's probably why it's got the not to resell second hand. That's what you get in the box. You got the manual there. Of course, it's all in. I don't understand. I can't read Japanese yet. And it's all in Japanese. And then, of course, if you've never seen a GameCube disc before, that's what a GameCube disc looks like. It's like a mini CD. But it happens to store, I think it's 1.5 gig, that actually uses a slightly different technique to store, similar to DVDs, to store the data on there. So that's the games that I've got this in the last couple of weeks. Now I picked up a couple of films on Blu-ray. We have Rasputin the Mad Monk. So these are all Hammer horror films that I've managed to pick up. So Rasputin the Mad Monk, which I have actually watched. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a review on this, but I might. So Rasputin the Mad Monk. The interesting thing about this is I did actually watch it the other night. It does include, as a special feature, it does include the film again in 2.55:1 ratio if you really want to watch it like that. Of course, the main resolution, the main aspect ratio is 2.35:1, and it actually includes both a Blu-ray disc and a DVD disc. The next one picked up was The Mummy's Shroud, another Hammer horror film. So we'll see how that goes. This one happens to be, this is quite interesting, it's one of the only ones I've seen that's a PG. A lot of them tend to be M rated or 15 rated and above. So yeah, so might probably do a review on that one as well. And of course, to follow on, I've picked up a copy of Dracula Prince of Darkness, which is the second one in the series of the Hammer Horror Draculas, with Bride of Frankenstein being the second one of the list. So I presume this is the third one, so I'll have to double check that. But yeah, but bog standard. There's no instruction booklet, little pamphlet inside there or anything else like that. The only thing you do get is obviously some clip from the film on the the inlay there. So yeah, on the sleeve. Yeah, that's pretty bog standard. I probably will be doing a review of that when it comes up. So. Excellent, and that's it. So I'll catch you guys for another video, and hopefully with this new video camera I've got, the videos will look better than the first one I did with the film review, and we'll see how it goes. I'm looking to extend to doing things like games reviews as well. There's a lot of retro stuff, so I mean, if you can, I'll just pan the camera up slightly here. There's quite a few retro games that I'm looking to that are in the shelves there. Even some I've got, because I've been collecting for various different weird, I say weird, but kind of Japanese type stuff. So there's a few Hue cards for the PC Engine and Super CD-ROM games that are packed away in there as well. So we'll see how we go. And of course we've got the film collection there. So excellent. I'll catch you guys sometime later.